The vast, dark night sky lived a tiny star named Lyra. She was the youngest among billions of other stars. Lyra had a soft glow, like a whispered secret. Every night, she watched the older stars dance and twinkle with joy, lighting up the earth below. Lyra longed to join them, to feel the thrill of shining her own light. She dreamt of bright, playful sparkles that would make the night sky even more magical. She knew deep down that she had a special light inside her, just waiting to burst forth. How do they twinkle so beautifully? Lyra wondered to herself. She tried to imitate them. She took a deep breath, gathered all her light, and tried to push it out. But all that came out was a tiny flicker, like a lamp blinking briefly. Lyra was a little disappointed, but she didn't give up. She knew that every star had its own way of twinkling, and she just needed to find hers. She imagined her light as a little dance, trying different moves to make it shine. Night after night, Lyra practiced. She would spin a little, take another breath, and let her light flow. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The older stars smiled at her, encouraging her. They knew that every new star needed time to find its rhythm. Lyra learned that it was okay to start small and that every effort mattered. She felt a warmth grow inside her with each try, a sign that her light was getting stronger. She was learning to trust her own unique glow. One night, as the full moon shone brightly, Lyra felt different. She wasn't trying too hard. She just breathed calmly and let her light flow gently. And then it happened. A tiny flicker, then another, and another. Lyra's light danced, not as strong as the other stars, but pure and beautiful. She had finally found her own way to twinkle. A joyful warmth spread through her, making her feel like the brightest star in the whole wide sky. She was so proud of her unique, gentle sparkle. Lyra was happy to twinkle, but sometimes she felt a little lonely. The night sky was so vast, and even though there were many stars, they were all very busy with their own tasks. Lyra wanted someone to play with, someone to share stories about the wonders of the sky. She looked down at the earth and all around her, hoping to find a friend. Her twinkling felt a little less bright when she had no one to share it with. One evening, Lyra saw something soft and white floating nearby. It was a little cloud called Misty. Misty drifted gracefully, sometimes gently covering the light of other stars. Lyra had never seen a cloud so close before. "Hello," Lyra called out with her tiny, twinkling voice. Misty was a little startled and hid behind a bigger cloud. Misty wasn't used to stars talking to her, and she felt a bit shy. Lyra didn't give up. She knew what it felt like to be shy. She started to twinkle in a funny pattern, like dancing. Misty peeked from behind the cloud and then slowly came out. She watched Lyra dance and began to mimic her movements, floating and swirling gently. Lyra smiled. "Want to play hide and seek?" Lyra asked. Misty's wispy edges seemed to wiggle with curiosity and a hint of excitement. Misty nodded happily, and just like that, Lyra and Misty became good friends. They played hide and seek among the stars, Misty hiding behind big clouds, and Lyra searching for her with her twinkling light. They laughed together, their laughter the whisper of the night wind. Lyra no longer felt lonely. She knew that having a friend made the night sky much, much brighter. Their friendship was a new, wonderful light in the darkness. One night, Lyra and Misty were playing chase among the star clusters. They zipped along quickly, their laughter filling the quiet night. Suddenly, a strong wind began to blow. It wasn't the gentle breeze they were used to, but a powerful, swirling gust, like a giant yawning. Other stars began to flicker faster, trying to hold their ground. The playful chase turned into a struggle against the powerful current of air. "Let's hold on, Misty," Lyra cried, trying to get closer. But the wind was too strong. Misty was pushed far away, and Lyra felt herself thrown from her usual spot. Her light began to flicker, growing dim. She tried to call out to Misty, but her voice was lost in the wind. Lyra felt scared. She had never been separated this far from her friends or from her place in the constellation. The vastness of the sky suddenly felt overwhelming. When the wind finally calmed down, Lyra found herself in an unfamiliar part of the sky. The stars around her were new faces, and her familiar constellations were nowhere in sight. She was all alone. Her usually bright light was now just a dim glow, like a candle about to go out. Lyra felt incredibly sad and confused. She wanted to go home, she wanted to find Misty. A tear, like a tiny drop of starlight, almost fell from her eye. Lyra drifted aimlessly, feeling hopeless. She missed the warmth of her friends and the familiar glow of her home constellation. She tried to twinkle, hoping her light would catch Misty's attention, but her light was too weak. She felt like the smallest and most insignificant star in the entire sky. The darkness around her seemed to swallow her small, fading hope. Suddenly, a very bright and steady light caught Lyra's attention. It was Polaris, the oldest and wisest star in the sky. Polaris always stayed in the same spot, guiding sailors on Earth. "Don't be afraid, little Lyra," Polaris said with a warm, comforting voice. "Your light may be dim, but it is never gone." Lyra looked up, a tiny spark of hope igniting within her at the sound of the kind voice. "I'm lost," Lyra whispered. "I don't know my way home, and I miss Misty." Polaris smiled gently. "You are never truly lost as long as you remember who you are, Lyra. Your light is within you. Use your courage. Remember the joy you felt when you twinkled, and the warmth of your friendship with Misty. Those will guide you." Polaris's words were like a gentle breeze, stirring Lyra's inner strength. Lyra closed her eyes, remembering Misty's laughter, the happiness of twinkling for the first time. She felt a small spark inside her. It was her courage, her own light that never faded. She opened her eyes and began to twinkle, no longer with fear, but with conviction. Each twinkle was a small step towards home. Her light, though still soft, had a new strength, a determined glow. Lyra twinkled and twinkled, following the feeling in her heart. The more she believed in herself, the brighter her light became. And then, in the distance, she saw a familiar white cloud. "Misty!" Lyra cried. Misty drifted closer, the little cloud so relieved to see her friend. They hugged, Lyra's light now shining as strong as ever. Lyra had learned that even in the darkest moments, courage and friendship are the brightest guiding lights. She would never be afraid again, knowing her inner strength and her friend would always be there.